Halloween, guys. This is Dark Comet and welcome to my channel. Hope you're having a scary and creepy night out there, guys. So today we're going to start off with another spooky, gory, and gruesome and horrific tale from Red Dead. This is a very gory, gruesome, spooky tale that my friend Arthur told me. Sounds almost too horrifying to even fathom, but when he went to Butcher's Creek area in the Roanoke Valley, he encountered what he felt was a very strong demonic presence. He told me of this very underworldly tale, and I'm going to share it with you today. So let's get over to Arthur and see what happened to him. It was a quite stormy and rainy day in the Roanoke Valley as Arthur headed up this very narrow trail there when he noticed something hanging from a tree. He decided he would take a closer look here. So Arthur hitched his horse and walked down the way there with his gun at the ready just in case trouble might be encountered. Definitely looked like some kind of humanoid body that was hanging from a tree up there, so he approached with caution as he saw this dark and shadowy figure suspended from the air. Definitely is someone who is being hung there. Whether he hung himself or whether someone hung him up is still in question. The tale was quite gruesome. He heard little whistles out there. Oh, then he was ambushed. Who were these crazy people? They were quite dirty, quite ill-prepared. He was quite surprised at how childish their ambush was when they attacked him. They only had dirty old weapons. They didn't have hardly anything on them. Even when he looted them, they just had some herbs or just some minor little trinkets. He was quite puzzled, but that's okay. He took care of the ruffians. He did find a little sawed-off shotgun that he thought might be helpful to him in the future. He did lose his earlier, so he took that one just in case he needed it. He could always clean it up and jazz it up later. And he looted the last few bodies. They looked almost like they were some backwoods people. Wasn't quite sure. Has never encountered anybody like that before, but at least he knew that look, they can even afford shoes. So he went back over to the body, and as he was looking at the decaying man there, he thought that maybe the man should be buried. Maybe these people caught him unawares and weren't as prepared as Arthur was. So Arthur shot him down and went to look at his body. After closer inspection, he found a note on the man. Don't know who he was, but I'll read you his note here of what he found. The stranger wrote, "Lord, forgive me for what I have done. I could not take another day of torture at the hands of those grubby men. They say that hell awaits those who resort to self-murder. Can that be any worse than the goings-on in that infernal cave? I will soon see. Murfree Brood prisoner note from a stranger." Arthur set camp and decided to investigate this further. Maybe there was other people out there that needed his help.
Y'all knew this was Murfree Hills. You should be careful where you're camping.
I can look after myself. Besides, free country.
Free country? No. Everything bought and paid for. And we gonna protect what's ours. Y'all be careful where you wander.
Come on, let's go. I think you got the message.
They'll kill you next time.
So these two weird and grubby men walked up to him when after he had set up his camp there and threatened him. Said that it was their country he was in. Then he went over to a little town called Butcher's Creek, which is a very strange town, and these are the people he encountered.
Like loose cards. Nobody disrespects me.
The town is full of deformed and weird people and almost demonic goats. The goats seem to be possessed by something unusual. Everywhere he turns, they try to attack him. What goats do that? I've never seen anything like it in my life. So Arthur looked at this poor, misshapen, grotesque figure playing the banjo all day and all night. That's all he does. And he felt very sorry for him, but what could he do? So he walked through the town and he started looking at what's going on here because he's trying to find out information of where are these other prisoners being held. Who are these Murfree Brood people? These look like they may have come from this backwoods area, but well, not quite sure. Everything seems to be quite off in this town. He feels very uneasy, almost like there's a demonic presence in the town. Somebody's not being honest, and he doesn't know what he can get out of these people. They keep telling him they don't like strangers, but he keeps asking and inquiring at people around Butcher's Creek area.
Hey, partner.
Howdy.
He saw that the town was just completely run down, very poor folk. The area was absolutely disgusting. Dead bodies and carcasses lying all over the place. The water looked contaminated. Even this dog he found was very mangy. He was covered in blood and looked quite disturbing, but Arthur still wanted to show him some love.
You okay, boy?
He had to wash his hands afterwards. That was pretty disgusting. I mean, look at all the trash, debris, and just the environmental hazards here at this little Butcher's Creek area, probably causing these deformities. You just don't leave dead, decaying bodies around and near a water supply. The place was absolutely disgusting. He saw some more buildings up in here, and he decided to take a closer look. Something didn't feel right. People weren't going to tell him. He was going to go out and look around and find what could be out there. He went to the shed here, and he didn't see anything. Everything looked pretty normal. Just some hay bales and different things like that. Nothing too far off. He saw these. Oh, gotta watch out for those goats, man. They are nasty. He does not want to have a encounter there. He doesn't want to kill the people here yet, unless they deserve it. So he's trying not to destroy their goat supply, even though these goats seem to be possessed. Look at all these bodies he found hanging up here on this slaughter thing. No regard to cleanliness. Just everything seems to be just, if it's alive, they kill it, they eat it. It doesn't matter what it is. Coyote, rats, doesn't matter. Then he found this strange shack over here, and he had heard through the grapevine that weird happenings occur here at night. So he's gonna explore Butcher Creek around and talk to the people where he can, and then come back here when it's dark. But he wanted to take a look over the strange cabin here during the day, and he found this very, very strange, disturbing sight. He saw a floating axe handle here, and there was nothing holding it up. He searched all around it, looked for something that might be hanging in from the ceiling. What is holding this thing up? He could not ever tell. So the first mystery and clue that something wasn't quite right with this town, besides how it looked and the people, was this evidence of this almost ghostly axe that was floating in the air. It was quite disturbing. He wanted to leave there immediately and go around the town and talk to some more people. The fog rolled in, and the people were very rude.
Partner? Hey, mister.
Asswipe.
And again, the goats seemed to be possessed, almost like they knew that he was looking for evidence of what might be harming this town. Everywhere he turned, the goats, which are also a symbol of demonic possession, came and attacked him, quite strangely.
Hi there, partner.
You, Mr. Ape, the sharpest knife in the drawer.
He can't believe they are telling him that he's not the sharpest guy. He's quite intelligent compared to these people here.
Hey there.
You son bitch.
They're very standoffish. He didn't quite understand it. I mean, he hasn't provoked them. He hasn't done anything to rise their ire, but they just continue to mock him, spit in his face, and just be outright rude.
Asswipe.
Calm down.
Look how disgusting this place was. There's no sense of cleanliness here. It's quite disturbing. And yet again, another goat. They have to be some kind of demon spawn. Going to have quite the bruises later, I'll tell you that much.
Hey, folks.
You, Mr. Ape, the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Evening.
Fine evening, sir.
One of the nicest ladies. Maybe he'll come back and talk to her later. Look at that goat. Watch out for him. As I walked by the butcher place there, I observed something very strange. Not only were they butchering the animals, they had skinned a pig and left its mask there. Maybe if I try to fit in better here by putting on this pig face as a mask, maybe they'll forget who I am, or I'll try to fit in.
Talking to, stranger.
Again, still standoffish, won't talk to strangers.
And then we'll see, huh?
The man was so pathetic. Arthur just passed him by. He didn't want to harm that grubby man there.
Whoever you are, I don't want no trouble, all right? Just a precaution.
Hey, you can't be here. Get the hell out of here. No point getting fed up over nothing.
Don't worry. I don't want to kill you.
You ignorant or something?
They were definitely disturbed by Arthur's new bloody pig mask.
Now why are you hiding your face?
So Arthur decided to listen to the man play the banjo again until it was later in the evening, and he'd go investigate the hut.
Don't worry about it.
Get on out here.
Just minding my own business.
This how you try to amuse people?
Arthur did think it was quite amusing. These dirty, grubby people thought that it was disgusting, and he was trying to hide his identity for some unknown reason. They definitely wanted him to leave, so he knew he had to stick around for the evening.
Nothing to worry about.
So he thought it was time to walk up to the shack there. Oh my goodness, and then another goat hit him down. This was definitely telling him to just get out of the Butcher Creek area.
And hello again.
We don't take kindly to outsiders around here.
We've noticed. Everything was telling Arthur that they wanted him to leave before it got too late in the evening. He had to stay. He had to find out what this mystery was. And then again, another goat attacks Arthur, knocking him to the ground. He just, like, he's never seen anything like this in his whole entire life. If he could get away with it, he would have killed every goat in that damn place. So Arthur finally walked up to the cabin who he had heard rumors that had some kind of demonic, almost eerie presence. But then he saw a guy just sitting here, and he's like, maybe this wasn't such a bad place after all. If they weren't scared of it, why should he be? But he's going to investigate anyway. It was very late in the evening, and nothing seemed to be amiss. Everything was as if it was during the daylight hours. So maybe there was just a rumor that this place was a demonic presence. Nothing seemed unusual, except for there's that floating axe again. What the heck is that? Something has to be going on. It just made him feel uneasy. About 10 minutes later, Arthur was standing around the shack there and just standing guard, and all of a sudden he felt something behind him. It just made the goosebumps jump across his arm and the hair on the back of his neck stand up. So he had to turn around and check what this red glowing presence he felt behind him. So he felt like almost like someone was watching him. So he turned around and saw this red glowing embers. Something strange was emanating from the bottom of the shack here. He couldn't quite make out what it was, so he had to get a better look. There's the floating axe again. Is there something that causes that thing to float? Try to see if he could look underneath the shack somehow, to see if there was some way he could better look at this strange red glow. Here's this guy again. He didn't seem to be quite concerned, but here it is. He sees something that almost has a resemblance of a circle, red circle of some sort with some kind of symbols on it. The only thing he could think of was maybe some kind of demonic pentagram. Were these people worshipping Satan or something like that? Did someone put that there to curse them? He couldn't quite tell. He had to keep looking around, and he could not, unless he ripped up the whole entire shack, he couldn't quite see it. How did that get under there? And what causes it to glow at such a weird time every single night?
Hello. You're acting mighty peculiar.
Yes, I was acting peculiar. All I could see was this red glow, and it was very disturbing. It's almost as scary as Arthur's mask. And then it just disappeared. Just like that. In the wink of an eye, it was gone. And then the sun started coming up over the horizon, and Arthur knew that something had to be being hidden from him in this town. So he went over to talk to the other townsfolk and ask them about this pentagram, this red glow. Have they ever seen it? And all he could get was this guy playing the banjo, no matter what he did.
Please, go away.
What the hell is wrong? I want a piece of you.
And then all of a sudden, the guy who's been peaceful all day ran away, and then they all started trying to attack him, beating him up, like some kind of demonic force had overcome the people of the townsfolk. Every single person in town just tried to kill him. He tried to fight him off as best he could, but then just was overwhelmed by the amount of people. There's just too many of them. They started shooting and punching and kicking him, and then he woke up along the road. As he traveled the road there, another weird phenomenon happened. He got ambushed again by the Murfree Brood. Are these the same people that live in Butcher's Creek? Are they protecting them? Are they holding them ransom? Are they the ones who put the curse on the town? Are they serving a demon lord somehow? Guess we'll never know, because Arthur said that he killed every single one of them. They set up like they knew, like someone from the town had told him. They left him out on the road for dead. And when he was awakened, he was immediately ambushed just shortly up the road by this Murfree Brood again. Ill-prepared, no shoes, no shirts in most cases, very few weapons. Something just didn't seem right. What were these people doing attacking him with just basically dirty weapons and knives, machetes? Something didn't seem quite right. He tried to loot each body to see if there was some other kind of clue there. He did hear of a cave that was to the north that maybe was a place that everybody told him in town, in Butcher's Creek there, not to go to. Don't go up in that area. So Arthur believes that maybe that is where the prisoner is being held. Maybe this is where the Murfree Brood has their holdout, so that they can have a little hideout that they can hold these prisoners. So Arthur headed up the road, heading to the north, looking for this place called Beaver Hallow. Arthur didn't see much as he's going up the road here. He wasn't attacked again on the way. I mean, the Murfree Brood didn't seem to be too much of a concern for him as he was going up, and then he encountered this almost like a gang hideout here. He could hear some voices talking in the distance, so he hitched his horse Diablo and got ready to battle. What if they were really holding people prisoner there and torturing them, as that note said? He had to rescue them if that was the case. He couldn't let it go. So Arthur tried to get in closer for a little bit of reconnaissance to see what he might encounter. He saw a large cave to the distance, crates and wagons, all laid out in some kind of defensive manner. And then he saw disgusting, disturbing images in front of him. He saw a number of people guarding the cave with torches. So what if he killed them? Noises were emitted, and then all the people in the cave, if they were alive, were then butchered. He had to take the risk, though. Look at the bodies that were being tortured out there. Look at the grotesque measures. What were these inbred, horrific people doing to the people of the Roanoke Valley? Were they people from Butcher's Creek? Were they just strangers who wandered through the woods? I don't know. So Arthur got prepared, and he was ready for battle. Tried to move in closer, and then they saw him. So he had to fight his way through and kill every single one. He couldn't let these people survive.
Okay, settle down there.
How about a third nostril? I'd have just been shot and he didn't watch himself. He's here, brother. I'm half for it.
And then they just came in force. He didn't even know how many there were, but there seemed to be a lot of them. Arthur had a huge gun battle with the Murfree Brood here. They came in from all sides. How many people were here? There definitely were some deeper in the cave. You could hear them talking and yelling out their defenses. Arthur determined that he had to kill every single one of these Murfree Brood people. They're completely either insane, they just kept coming like a wave after wave. Why were they here? Why were they taking people and not just robbing them, but butchering and slaughtering and torturing them? This is probably one of the most horrific scenes that Arthur had ever seen in his life. It almost made him sick. He would not let any other unaware travelers be taken unaware and killed and tortured by these sick people.
You gonna be crying for your mama, boy.
Arthur could still hear them in there, but they weren't coming out. Maybe they were in more of a defensive position back there in the cave. Maybe there's clues out here on these bodies, or he'll take a more reconnaissance look around here, around this horrific scene that unfolded before him. Bodies were dismembered and sewn together in random pieces. What kind of sick people were they? Who put out these bodies like this? Who could do such a thing? How could the lawmen of New Hanover not come over here and take out all these terrible, terrible people? There's nothing that seemed like they had any funds besides even the, all the bodies they'd taken. Didn't seem like they were getting anything back from it. There's no gold. There was no large money sums. There was no jewelry that he could find. Very few things. Maybe they get pleasure out of torturing these people that they captured. Hanging body parts were everywhere. Heads were just hung on hooks and hands, and the scene was horrific. People were kept in cages and dismembered and tortured and burned alive. Arthur was just glad that he was more prepared for these people than the hapless wanderers who walked through the woods. Or maybe went and visited Butcher's Creek. Maybe they were drugged and taken over here. What caused these people to do such terrible and horrific things? Again, Arthur was very determined, even if the prisoners were in there and they were disposed of while he took care of the Murfree Brood, he wasn't going to let any of these guys survive. It's very dark. The smell in this cave was almost unbearable, but he had to push through. Broken wagons and supplies here were all over the place. Rotting food and all things of that nature were strewn throughout the cave. He could barely see in front of him. He couldn't risk them seeing him coming with any lantern out. So he crept ever so slowly, trying to find these voices that were speaking out to him. And then he saw them. He almost didn't survive that one, guys. How many of these miscreants were there? He just kept creeping and creeping forward here, hoping to find all of them and dispose of them before they could hurt someone else. No other prisoners were seen to this point.
You wish you didn't run into the Murfree.
They just kept coming out of every little crevice in the cave. How many of these people were there? It's almost like some otherworldly force was controlling them.
Bleeding like a stucco.
Arthur had had enough. No one was going to survive. He was determined.
Back to the cave.
Arthur ate and healed his wounds and decided to search the cave. Were other people being held prisoner that he could help rescue? What is the mystery behind why people would act such in a demonic way? Arthur said he searched high and low through this cave and all the surrounding area and could not find one prisoner still left alive. It looks like these people just enjoyed torturing, maiming, dismembering, burning people, even alive. Arthur started to wonder why this could happen, how it could happen. Maybe the demonic presence of Butcher's Creek, maybe the pentagram that he found inscribed under the cabin was controlling these people. Maybe the Murfree Brood was actually sacrificing all people that came through to whatever demon they were worshipping. It is quite the mystery. That's the only logical thing that Arthur could surmise, was maybe they were demon worshippers. Maybe they had some kind of satanic ritual that they performed, where they had to keep the other evil to themselves at bay. Maybe they were being punished by some god or some other demonic force that was causing them to become deformed or keeping them the way they are, and this was their religion of how they dealt with it. I guess we'll never know, guys. Again, Arthur couldn't find anything in here that gave him any more clues. He couldn't find any other prisoners. All he found were maimed, deformed, tortured bodies. So if you ever head up to this region of the world, go with extreme caution. I would even advise never coming to this area. Avoid this area at all costs, or you could end up in this cave being tortured as well. Well, at least Arthur could feel better about it. He killed 20, 30, who knows how many people he killed in the last few days of the Murfree Brood. Maybe he'd have to go back to Butcher's Creek and have it out with the people again, because He just could not see how they could support this. Are they living in fear? It didn't seem like it. It seemed like they were hiding it from him. Although they did not attack him when he was there, except for when they felt provoked that he was getting too close to the information about the pentagram and the demonic curse in the town. If this story doesn't make you feel uneasy and lose some sleep tonight, I'd be very surprised. Imagine if you were walking down the road or riding a horse and you were assaulted by the Murfree Brood, taken to their camp here, tortured alive, and maimed and dismembered and burnt, or you had to watch your friends be tortured in front of you. Anything was possible in this place. One last look for Arthur to see if he missed anything. They were even playing cards and having a good time while they were torturing and maiming people. This was very disturbing. Arthur decided to give one final look to make sure he didn't miss anything or miss anybody who was still held prisoner. But he found no one. He just felt empty inside. He decided enough was enough and he had to leave this horrific place. The stench was overwhelming. He did find a ladder over here, decided to go up and look around up here, but still he found nothing. No evidence that there was other prisoners. No great riches. Why were they doing this? It was time for Arthur to go. He just couldn't take it anymore. The scene in front of him was just too much. While it was still daylight, he wanted to get out of this place, if he could. As the sun decided to go down, he decided to give one little final look outside before he went on his way. Poor people in here. Poor, poor people who came by. The horrors of today had just filled Arthur with grief, and he couldn't take anymore. He just, after he saw these bodies here, he had to leave. Look at this poor guy who was just bound upside down and tortured and burnt alive, skinned. It was very disturbing. He may never get these memories out of his head. They were etched there forever. What were they doing here? Was this some kind of satanic ritual? That's why he believes that maybe they were sacrificing them to some kind of demon to protect their people. That's the only logical conclusion you could come up with, guys. What do you think? When I met up with Arthur later in Van Horn, which is not too far away, we sat down in a saloon and had a drink, and he told me this horrific, very disturbing tale. I didn't know what to account for it. Was it true? Was he just trying to pull my leg? Is this some kind of scary story that you tell your friends or your worst enemies to keep them up at night? So I went back on my own. I went back in the evening and checked out this cave where he described it to me. Everything was just as Arthur described. The horror was still there, but the Murfree Brood was no longer there. Maybe he had killed them all. Everything was exactly as he described. Dismembered bodies, people being burnt alive, heads and body parts strewn about, put up on hooks and displayed for the world to see. So I have to believe that everything that Arthur told me was true. Well, guys, I hope you can get some sleep tonight. That was such a mind-numbing and horrific tale. I just could not imagine anybody who could think this way and do these horrific things. But if you like the spooky tale, guys, I hope you hit that like button. It really helps out my channel a lot. I really enjoyed telling you this horrible and spooky and gruesome tale. Don't let it happen to you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so far, and make sure you hit the notification bell for future things I'm going to be doing. Check out the description below for other things that I have going on, and we'll see you the next time, guys, for maybe another spooky tale, a tale of the paranormal, or some other adventure. See you next time, guys. Take care.
Huh.